like you said, he's got 3 rings, right? And just to clarify, none of those rings are with Toronto, right?
Is Fraser Minton going to have more points than Slavkovsky this year? Fraser Minton sucks at hockey. This guy might not even be an NHLer, so we got to settle down on that one.
Adelaide, no. Minus 160 on will they show her holding a drink in her hand.
They are 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues in the wild card, and they are.
Oh, the Blues are dog water. The Blues suck. The Blues are the worst of those 4 teams that I mentioned by a mile.
And
they're not a good hockey team.
Care, like have some set of balls, have some response, have some pride for what the hell goes on the ice. It's so absurd.
I'm looking forward to the parade, but that's going to be later in the year.
I'd rather have so money in that than have Alber Soderblom. I would rather stack a bunch of garbage that I have in the corner of my room over here than have Alber Soderblom in that. He's
May 6th, welcome back to Edgework, presented by Pinnacle. I'm Zack Phillips, and today we're going to be breaking down everything going on around the NHL with Alex Moretto, So Money. We'll talk about what happened here this weekend, what went on with the series that wrapped up as well. We'll do our in-depth series preview of the Bruins Panthers series here today as well. Obviously, with this one starting up tonight, we're not going to have the video coming out as we normally do, but we'll do that entire series preview during the show here today. So people do have questions about stuff that's going on, make sure to send those in the chat. We'll try to answer them throughout the course of the show. But before we can get into anything, I want to remind people, if you haven't already, make sure to head on over to Pinnacle Sportsbook. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook, and you can find out what professional bettors have known for decades. Pinnacle is where the best bettors play. You must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please play responsibly. Remember, not available in the U.S. As we pull up series prices here today, as we pull up prices on the game that we're looking at tonight, and as we continue to do throughout the rest of the playoffs, you'll notice Pinnacle has the best odds on most of the games, whether it's sides or totals that we're going to be bringing up there. So head on over to Pinnacle Sportsbook. That is where you should be betting. So Money, let's start with you. Friday night, the Vancouver Canucks punched their ticket through to the second round, defeating the Nashville Predators in Game 6 there. Congratulations. How are you feeling here this morning?
I feel good. I think that was a series that we mentioned. There was a path to Nashville's. There was a path to the Predators winning that series. We talked about it on the preview show. We talked about it the last couple of weeks. And credit to Nashville. They were doing everything they were supposed to do to set that path up, right? We acknowledge that goaltending, this was with Demko and Ned, but we felt that UC Saros could get to a level that Demko was at, and UC Saros got very close to that level. We also had a defenseman in Nashville who can get up to a level that Quinn Hughes can, and he got to that level. And then we had a team overall that was able to not necessarily frustrate the Canucks in terms of them mentally, because the Canucks never wavered. They stuck to their core defensively, but their game on ice, that was frustrated, and we saw their low shot totals. We saw lack of offensive generation, but that should have been expected. That this was going to be a tighter series. Nashville wasn't going to let the Canucks skate. And the Canucks, it took them about 4.5 games to start kind of not necessarily changing their game, but making their adjustments that they needed to do. And we also said in those preview shows all throughout the week that ultimately the Canucks have more firepower. They should be able to get to get to a level that Nashville can't get to, and that's what we saw in the third period of Game 6, where the team came out, and it was a brilliant third period. I mean, they just they took it to that level that we know that Nashville couldn't get to. And so even though the Canucks, it wasn't their best series, you have to give Nashville credit for making the Canucks not play their best as well. So altogether, I'm happy with the way that the Canucks fought back. Going forward, what I'm encouraged by is that there's nothing anybody else can do to the Canucks that Nashville was capable of doing in terms of completely shutting down all their breakouts, everything that the Canucks want to play like. There's nobody else left that can do what Nashville did. So the Canucks fought through it, and I think that bodes well for as we move forward.
Face some adversity there, have to go down to the third goaltender comes in, still find a way to get it done though. So congratulations now, Moretto, as you watched. Those were your Morettitors, the Nashville Predators on the other side, the team you were high on all season and in support of. Go up against the Canucks in the first round. It was the first time that we had seen you switch your tune on the Predators and you start to go over to the Canucks side, give them their support, so Money his support. What'd you make of this first round series? Was there a little bit of you that was a little bit upset with the way or the fact that you had to watch the Predators go down?
No, I mean, I put a good amount of money on the Canucks, so to see the Canucks battle through what they had to battle through to win that series was really good. I don't really need to summarize it any more than So Money already did. I think, he has this one fully covered. He was definitely watching it a bit more attentively than I was as well. I also don't need to get too into the weeds here, but yeah, this was a Predators team I was really high on for this season. Not a Predators team that I was high on overall, just definitely very much a this year sort of thing. I mean, we have all offseason to discuss this stuff, but I'm worried about the Predators going forward now, right? Because this year you like the makeup of this team, but now you're looking at guys like O'Reilly, Nyquist, who are going to be, 34, 35 years old next year. Obviously, Yossi's getting a little bit older, logged a lot of minutes in his time. McDonough as well. You got Shen on the back end. Like, this is a very much an aging roster with not enough young talent coming through. You still have the dead cat money from the Duchesne and the tourists. Johansson and stuff. Like, it's pretty bleak. I think going forwards, like, this was maybe the Preds' one real run at doing something meaningful, and obviously they were never going to be taken serious as contenders here. But yeah, I think going forwards, this is it's about to get a lot worse for the Predators before it gets better.
Well, there's one series that I know you conveniently showed up for here today. Charles pointing out in the chat, Moretto, he's gone, but he's somehow back just in time for the Maple Leafs to be eliminated from the playoffs. Moretto, I'll give you the floor first. Obviously, I have thoughts. I've given thoughts on different shows already here, but where are you at in regards to the downfall of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Game 7, yet again. Overtime, yet again. Another loss to the Boston Bruins. What's going on? How are you feeling?
So this has to be the least self-aware fan base in professional sports. This Toronto fan base, because
really?
I mean,
hold on. You got people out here like the Ottawa Senators who declare that they've won the offseason every fucking year, and you're gonna say that the Maple Leafs are the lead. Come on.
Okay, let's just go through the timeline of events though here. So after game 4, the vibe was rightfully very low. I think you kind of had a breaking point there for Leafs fans where, like, you realize something has to be done. It had been pathetic up to that point. The same flaws as always had kind of reared their head. And we've been doing this for like 10 years now, right? Where it's the same thing over and over and over. I think Leafs fans kind of saw how those first 4 games played out and realized, like, we have to make changes once and for all. This is probably for the best. We can't just run it back. These issues aren't going to correct themselves, right? We can't keep trotting back this core 4 with Keefe and Shanahan and everything and just like hoping to jam this square peg into a round hole. Doesn't matter if you're losing game 5, losing game 6, losing game 7. Everyone sort of seemed to know what needed to be done. A little short-term pain for long-term gain. And then everyone just lost sight of it. Like 2 mediocre games against a Bruins team where you win the 2 games to get it to game 7. They didn't play particularly great. And this is, again, a pretty bad Bruins team. The bounces just sort of go your way, and you end up squeaking out 2 very tight wins, again, where you're not scoring goals, you're not breaking through. Now it's suddenly like, we believe, we're back. I don't know. You got guys talking about their cup pedigree again. If we can just get Matthews back now and this and that, like, if we can just get over the hump. Last year we talked about getting over the hump, and they finally got over the hump in the first round, and then they went and lost in 5 to Florida. And now all of a sudden you're facing a worse team in the first round. You're struggling to beat them. You don't look good. And now you're going to, like, what's the point in winning? You're going to go face a Florida team that's probably going to beat you in 5 games again. I don't know. I just don't know where we kind of lost sight of what needed to be done here. And now, like, we're at a point where Marner has to go and we need to get rid of Marner, and that's going to fix everything. I think Marner is also a little bit of a scapegoat, and like Marner wanted his money, and Marner asked for his money. He fought hard for his money, and he did not deliver anything close to what he's paid. Obviously, that $11 million price tag is insane. I do agree that Marner's time up in Toronto needs to come to an end, but like, I think we're doing a massive. It's really letting off guys like Matthews and Nylander. And I understand that both those guys were hurt. And I understand that Nylander got his goals. He scored on a wrister from the blue line that was deflected in somehow. And he got a bounce to get his goal, which, a lot of players could have probably just got that bounce to score that goal.
Okay,
I don't know.
Hold on. I think a lot of what you've said is fair. I think some of it here, we're getting a little carried away. Like Nylander, I think Nylander was very good in the games that he played. Yes, the goal was fluky. Yes, but he also scored 2 more. He scored another one there to kind of cap that one off to end game 6. He scored in game 7, the only goal that the Leafs scored. I understand it's like an empty net backdoor pass from Matthews. But regardless, I think he played really well. And on top of that, if we're going to say like holding guys accountable, fair enough. Okay, yeah, look at some of the other guys there. This is like the only guy that I think has shown up every year for the past 6 years for the Leafs in the playoffs. The one guy that when he got the money, I think it was a little bit much, but like, fuck it, man. He showed up here again. He scored 3 goals. He like leads the Leafs in goals, and he missed the first 3 games of the series. Like, okay, give the blame to the other people. I'll let you go and slander them. I'm going to step in and stop that one right there.
Okay. I am old enough to remember when William Nylander was the liability. When Marner was the guy scoring the penalty shot in game 1 against the Bruins, and Marner was the Leafs' best player in the playoffs, and everyone was like, Marner's better than Matthews. Marner's better than Matthews. And now Nylander was the one who was fucking around with the puck behind his net and giving the puck away and whatever. Now it's like, where's the period of grace for, like he's somewhat turned it around, I guess, and he scored a couple big goals, but and maybe he was battling something. He never looked dangerous. He got his goals. He didn't look like the Nylander who last year very much looked dangerous in the playoffs. Nylander had a great playoffs last year, without a doubt. Maybe he was battling injury. I get that. I'm not saying that Nylander's the problem, obviously, or whatever, but like, I just feel like we're letting other guys off the hook a little bit too much. Matthews, I mean, yes, he was hurt. Game 7, he was obviously battling something. You're not going to deny that. But like, where was the good Matthews? And I know he had 3 points in game 2, but like one of them was a deflected like shot, unintentional pass to Tavares where we turned and shot. It wasn't even I don't know. I just think that we're like completely have lost sight of everything here. I think that moving forwards, like you have to worry about this Riley contract as well. Riley looked brutal. I don't know if maybe he was injured or what the deal was there, but I just don't know where like Leafs fans just sort of lost sight of everything, and like what was gonna happen if they won game 7? What was that going to accomplish? You know what I mean?
They were going to lose to Florida. Yeah, they were going to lose to Florida. But I think people just wanted to get this over with and get past Boston for the sake of getting past Boston. Like once you won game 5, it was like, okay, fuck it, let's just go and win this thing in 7. Like if we've got the chance. Like I don't. Okay, I feel like you just get exposed to some of the morons from Leafs Twitter more than other people. Like I try now to just filter mine out so that I don't have to see that shit, because I come on here and you're like telling me how annoying Leafs Twitter is. I'm like, I don't know, it was for me. Now I just don't see it because those people are blocked or muted. Like I'm not reading fucking Jeff Fayette's stupid tweets anymore, so it's not.
Yeah, no, I get Jeff Fayette and Edna Garrett and shit sent to me every day from my moron
like
Leafs
that's
friends.
blocked out, so I don't see that stuff anymore. So like the direction of people that I was seeing and where my head was at was like Game 4, and So Money and I got to talk about it last week. Game 4 of this series was so frustrating and was the tipping point, not because they lost, not because they not because they lost or they didn't play well, because they didn't show up from an effort standpoint. Like it was so abundantly clear they didn't try. And that was like, fuck you. Like you played a home game with a chance to tie this thing in a playoff series, regardless of how you feel about how they played in the first 3 games. Like you tie that thing up, you go back to Boston 2-2. That was the tipping point. That was when we kind of just said, enough's enough. Keefe, Marner, like, we had all those conversations, and I stand behind those. Like, that's it for me. Like, Marner's done. I don't want to see that guy in a Leafs jersey ever again for the rest of my life. I don't want to see posters of him on the wall. I don't want to see old commercials that are still stuck around that are getting put onto TV. I don't want to see a pamphlet from 2018 that happens to pop up with his face on it. I never want to see that guy in Leafs uniform, Leafs apparel, Leafs signage, nothing for the rest of my life. He's done. I'm so beyond that. Like, it's over. I don't care where you come in here on, getting rid of him, is it going to improve the team or whatever. The mentality, the mindset, the fucking cancer that appears to be is so like wearing out on people, and to the point that you see Matthews yelling at him on the bench, him throw his little tantrum, and then William Nylander, the guy that you just talked about being the guy that everyone looked at, Nylander turning and saying, "Stop fucking crying, it's not Junior." Like, that's enough for that. I think the reason that you saw the belief again in people was, I don't think people thought this team was going to win the cup. From the Twitter I was on, maybe on your side was different, Moretto, fair enough. But what I saw was people just being like, let's just win this against Boston because fuck Boston. Like, not because we can do something. It was pretty openly admitted on the shows that I've done here as well. Like, we're going to lose in the next round. It's just a matter, like, if you get there, you're going to lose. It's just like, I don't want the Bruins to have the satisfaction of beating us, their fan base to have it, or that goober up in the box, Jack Edwards, to have this of having beaten the Maple Leafs, right? Like, that was where it was at for me. And I was like, you know what? Let's just get through this series, lose in the second round, and then we can gas all these guys, because I don't want to see the Bruins happy again. I don't want to see this play out. That was where it was at for me throughout that series.
I think this is better off for you, though, because I don't think you're getting many of those changes if you do come back. And then the red carpet is rolled out for the Leafs then to come out and be like, look, we lost Nylander for a few games. We lost Matthews for a few games. Wall got hurt. We had to start a couple goalies, whatever. Like, and then you're like, what? And we came back and we still beat the Bruins. So, like, why are we going to make changes? Let's run it back again. The fact that this went to 7, given everything that happened, is still, if I were a Leafs fan, would be concerning for me, because I don't necessarily think wholesale changes are guaranteed right now. I do think some changes are coming. I think that we've kind of reached a tipping point with Marner. God, I want nothing more than for Marner to just flat out refuse to waive his no trade clause this summer. Nothing would make me happier than to just see him force his way back to the opening night lineup next year. We can only hope. But yeah, I mean, look, I am definitely exposed to a very different segment of Leafs Twitter that mostly has to do with the fact that I think I am surrounded by friends who know I despise this team and know how to really just push my buttons and fire stuff over to me that they know will just trigger me beyond belief. So I think I'm absolutely exposed to stuff that I probably shouldn't be and don't want to be. You know how many times I'll get a tweet sent to me and I'll click on it and it's like, you've muted this account. And I'm like, you know what? Let's see it anyways. And I don't know why, but it's like a drug and I can't stand this fucking team. And yeah, I am upset, and I'm not like going to sit here. The one thing I want to come out of this is, and I'm not saying this is his fault or anything, but I'm very upset that Matthews got hurt, because he was trending towards another kind of like playoff run that he's had every single year that he's been here, where he does solid and he plays well in moments, and he has his games where like he has a big game or scores a bigger goal. But overall, he's not dominating games. He's not taking series over. He's not helping this team break through, because offensively they cannot break through. And when you're struggling to break through like that, you need your top guys to come through. And you're not going to see a guy like Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Braden Point, Kucherov, fucking Mark Stone. You're not going to see these guys go through an entire series where they're just completely shut down. Nothing's happening. These are guys who help will your team over the top. Matthews has never shown an ability to do that. And I'm upset that he got hurt, because now we have another cop out for him where we can go into next season and laugh and, you know, celebrate his 60 goals, his race for 70. And like, oh my God, he's at 65 goals, where like, again, at the end of the day, it's like, who gives a fuck? Because how many goals is this guy scoring for me when it matters? And again, he did not. And I know he was injured, and I know he didn't play the whole series. I know he missed a couple games. I know he was injured in Game 7. But again, 1 goal He's never scored more than 5 in the playoffs. And at one point or another, you have to start pointing fingers at him and stop looking elsewhere and be like, this is the guy who's supposed to carry us. This is the guy who's supposed to be our leader, our offensive leader, and he is just not getting it done when the time matters. So we have to call that into question, and we have to expect and demand better from him, and it can't be everyone else's fault. So I'm upset that he got hurt, because now we're not going to sit here and do that again and he gets let off the hook. But I do think that that's a problem, and I don't think he's a guy like a McKinnon and like a Kucherov and like these guys that have willed their teams to deep runs and Stanley Cups. I don't think we can ever put him on that level of player. And I know he was in the Hart conversation, great regular season player, whatever. I don't think we can ever put him on that level of player until he shows he's able to do it when it matters. And he has never to this point shown that he is able to do that.
Yeah, I don't have a disagreement with that. I think that's fair. So I don't have to push back on that. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. So Money, you got any thoughts on the series?
Oh, I'm just sitting back enjoying the show here. I couldn't I couldn't find any popcorn here when you guys were going off, but I did get some chips. Yeah, I think that I've all clearly, as the voice of reason, falls somewhere in the middle here. I understand both viewpoints, and it's like seriously though, I don't even think you guys disagree here. I think that
no, I
you
don't
guys
think we
are,
disagree either.
yeah, you're
I'm channeling it at Zach, but it's not even at Zach. He just happens to be here, so he gets the brunt of it. But he's a very reasonable Leafs fan, and I don't have any ill will towards his fandom.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like exactly what it was that happened with Alex that has set him off so much with Toronto. Whether it's been like years worth of like just like needling throughout the years, or if it's one particular triggering event that like gets to him. But that's something I will get to the bottom of.
I have answers for you if you want.
yeah, let's go. I want to hear it.
It's just I talked to Alber about this. It's really simple. It's just growing up in Toronto, surrounded by and I grew up playing hockey my whole life, and growing up around all my friends who play hockey or like hockey, watch hockey, and everyone are Leafs fans. I'm a Habs fan. My family, we're all Habs fans. And it's just growing up in that environment. You have the little rivalry. It starts out as a rivalry, and, you don't like them, whatever. And then it just like grows and grows and builds over the years of people sending you this and, celebrating every little Leafs thing. And this team is the best, and like the naivety. And I'm sure if I was in Montreal, I'd be surrounded by idiot Habs fans who would upset me as well. But this is the environment that I was exposed to. And to this day, it's been 30 plus years of friends, Leafs this, Leafs that, Habs suck this, Habs suck that. And it's just constant, just delirious takes, just the most idiotic stuff you can imagine. Anything from like Vesa Toskala should win the Vezina to like, it's just years of just absolute chaos having to deal with these Leafs fans. Listening to the radio around here where like, Joe from Woodbridge hops on and says he wants to trade, Phaneuf and a package for Sidney Crosby, who's in his second year. And then it's just stupid stuff over the years that just wear on you so much. And then the evolution of Twitter, it just accelerates, and it reaches a point where like, I pretty much hate this team as much as I love the Habs. So it's, they're right there. So it's tough. It's tough growing up in this. And all my friends, they drive me absolutely insane too. It's nonstop.
Wow. Well, that is understandable. I do have one pushback though, right? In terms of saying Austin Matthews can never be considered at that level. I think that's harsh. I think we're not there yet, because didn't we hear the same thing about Alex Ovechkin, right? Like you always hear that until they won, right? So like right. So I mean I do think Austin Matthews is obviously is an elite talent. Whether or not he's a transcendent talent in the playoffs, I think jury's still out on that. I don't think we can say right now that it's never going to happen, because that's what we said about Ovechkin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I don't know. I saw red, so maybe I said never. I don't know if I did say never or not. But what I meant to say was that until he does it, in the playoffs, we
Yeah.
cannot talk about him as one of these guys or talk about
Yeah,
him
fair.
as this Alber player, even in the regular season, if he's putting up 70 goals. Like, I don't want to go through another regular season where I have to hear about Matthews' chase for 65, 70 goals, or like, I couldn't care less. Like, there's nothing I could care about less. There's no storyline I could care less about right now than that, when like celebrating a guy for his regular season accomplishments again, when push comes to shove, there's nothing that's being accomplished when it matters.
I think Mike Bromberg makes a good point in the chat there too, right? About Cup Finals for McDavid. I think that whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of it does come down to the framing in the media as well, right? Like McDavid is framed a certain way, so he's not gonna catch as much flack as like maybe this year might be different if the Oilers lose to the Canucks in a series that they should win and they're favored to win. Maybe this year will be different, but McDavid doesn't get the same heat that Matthews does for sure.
And I know what Mike's saying. I don't agree with that argument when people say that, and I have my Leafs fans say that, like, oh, I must have missed all the cups that McDavid won. Well, I mean, I agree. McDavid hasn't won when it matters, but McDavid is consistently going out there in series and just being an offensive force at least. I'm not saying Matthews has to win a cup in order to be considered one of those guys, but at least go out there one year, play 2 rounds, and get 20 points in 14 games, 12 games. Like, just put on an offensive clinic and put the team on your back offensively. Whether your team around you, your goaltending lets you down, or the team wins, that's like that stuff. Obviously, you can't control everything. I'm not saying Matthews can go out there and win the cup on his own. No player in the NHL can do that. You need a supporting cast. But he has to go out there and at least offensively, like, what's that been, like 13, 14 playoff games in a row where the Leafs have not scored more than 2 or 3 goals, or they scored 3 goals once, I think. Like, you can't have that. Like, he's got to go out there. Like, McDavid, even in the years that they're, out in the second round, whatever, like, he's putting up 25 points, 23 points. Like, he's putting up almost 2 points a game. Like, you have to just go out there and carry the team offensively. At least do your part there, and whatever else happens, but at least do your role. Like, you fill your role and do your job.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that is fair. But yeah, ultimately, I think at the end of the day, there's a couple of things that are going to happen with this team. It sounds like there's some massive changes coming to the organization. Like, from what we're hearing now, it seems like Shanahan will be gone. President of Hockey Operations role will be completely eliminated. Keefe gone. They want to change the defense. They're going to they're trying to change the goaltender. Like, there's going to be some massive, massive changes going on this summer. I think that was needed. I agree with Moretto that it makes it easier to kind of say, okay, now this has to happen. You lost in the first round again because this is the way that this is going to go. But again, from a fandom standpoint, I still would have liked to beat Boston. That's just, I can't stand the Bruins.
I get that.
And the fact that they've just taken this away from us every year.
I know it's quickly right now, but like, I do think the short-term pain for long-term gain. Like, I think this is by far, and I'm all on. There was part of me where, as much as I hate the Leafs, like, there was even a part of me that was like, I kind of feel like maybe them winning Game 7 might be best. Where it's, for me, short-term pain for long-term gain. Let them win this series right now so that they don't correct the issues that need to be corrected. So I do think that this was, in a way, a little bit of a win for you, while it was a loss, and for me, it was a little bit of a loss for me, even though it was a win, so to speak.
Yeah, that's enough. Okay. I don't think we have anything else to add to this one. If we do, to the Leaf series, we can put out some videos here on Edgework if Moretto needs to rant some more, so we can break those down. Quickly before we move on, we do have some breaking news here. Charles sent it in the chat. I was kind of just waiting till we got through this, but coaching news out of Winnipeg this morning, as per Darren Dreger there. Head coach Rick Bowness will announce his retirement today. Bowness coached over 2,600 games in the NHL and Jack Adams Award finalist for the first time this year. So congratulations to Rick Bowness, but stepping down in Winnipeg. So we'll have some changes coming for the Jets. Let's get to the final series that wrapped up. I don't know if you guys will have too much to say, but then we'll get into our series preview. Apologies for everyone. This will be a little bit of a longer show here today, but last one, the Dallas Stars, Vegas Golden Knights. Dallas finds a way to get it done, and so money. Not only that, but they find a way to get it done when you have just jumped off the train. What's going on? What happened yesterday? Was that a case of just paying for the win?
I guess so. I feel ashamed, but I need to face some music here. I did bet on Vegas yesterday. I got I got seduced by the Vegas price. Um, I bet on Vegas, and I deserve to lose. And
No
yeah,
money curse.
yeah. So I feel the only consolation for me is that in my loss, I was able to be happy with my brothers winning. So
Mhm.
I
You fell
will
on your
take
sword for us.
exactly.
Yeah. I really appreciate that because I wouldn't have been able to recover from another Stars loss to Vegas. I just couldn't do it. You talked about it after game 1 too. I just doubled down on the Stars. I was basically all in on them in this first round. It would have broken me. So especially the way they played. If they just were not the better team and Vegas, was the better team all series, then like whatever, that's fine. I was wrong. But like to lose a series where you definitely deserve to win. I think that could have been over in less than 7 games. But like credit to Vegas, they're just an incredibly hard out, and that's the team that knows how to lock things down and play playoff hockey, and that's just a very difficult team to beat. I think that is a testament to how good the Stars team is, and I definitely do not think the Stars are finished here. I think it's not just like, hey, we slayed the dragon, now we're good. I think they have some real unfinished business, and I think another deep run is coming for this Dallas team.
So many final words here to give to Slam Deal about the Vegas Golden Knights being eliminated. This is you got a chance here to say things publicly. He's just gonna troll in the chat.
I will take care of him privately. I don't I don't understand why he's still able to post in this chat, to be honest. I don't understand why he hasn't been blocked yet. But the other thing that hurts too is that I can't even troll him properly because I ended up betting on Vegas, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of like sitting here trolling myself, right? So I will, which I'm okay with, right? But I will find something that's gonna get him though. But in the meantime, I think that we need to block him. He's still going on in the chat. I don't understand why he's still here.
Right. There you go. That'll do it for the first round reactions, recaps. Let's get to the game that we're looking at here tonight on series preview. So we'll kind of go through this on the same format as we do for basically every series preview that we've done here now over the last 2 years. We're going to take a look at the Bruins Panthers, and we'll take a look at the game here as well tonight at the very end of this, but just kind of looking at series prices, maybe some numbers that we can find. We'll take a look over at Pinnacle. Moretto, right now I'm currently seeing Boston plus 176, the Panthers minus 205 here tonight. If you go and look at these two teams head to head this season, the Panthers are 0-2 against the Bruins. Now, obviously, a lot of that doesn't necessarily matter. How they played against each other in the regular season and how they've been playing lately is a little bit more important. The role that we're seeing the Panthers on right now, the caliber of hockey that they're playing at right now. What do you make of the series price that we currently see? Obviously, this one has had some time to be bet into a little bit, so on the day of the first game, it's going to be pretty much into shape, but kind of thoughts on where we see the number and if there's any value or if you have played this one out at all yourself already.
Yeah, I played this pretty heavily at a number of different spots, but I was the second that series ended on Saturday night, I was looking for lines to be posted and openers to be posted. I know we had to wait until earlier Sunday morning to get lines on some of the bigger books like Penny, but I played Florida everywhere from minus 160 to like minus 180, minus 185. I played, and again, it's not. That's why like I'm kind of glad we're not doing like a full official series preview here because of the fact that I don't know how if I can justify betting the Panthers at minus 205 or whatever they are now. I think that this was bet into place where it should kind of be. Like, I do agree with how this number ran, and I do agree with where it's gotten to. I don't see a clear path to the Bruins winning this series. I think that Florida does everything that they do, and they just do it a little bit better. And matchup-wise, it's a nightmare. I think the one thing you have to say is Sam Bennett. You need Sam Bennett to be somewhat healthy, at least able to play, because of the fact that what he does is he creates that mismatch for them on that third line. And that third line is so big for them because you can try and match up with those top two Florida lines. And like maybe you can get away with, maybe Boston can somehow load up two lines and sort of match those, but then you're just going to get shredded by that Luosterainen, Lundell sort of line. You know, I don't know if Bennett's going to be fully healthy or what the status is there, but the fact is, like, I think that the Bruins do not have anywhere close to the offensive firepower. I mean, you look at that, you look at their lines, you look at that top nine. You can't, like, you know, Zacha has had a pretty rough playoff so far. Geeky playing first line center. Pasternak just doesn't look quite the same. I know he got the overtime winner, but he just doesn't look fully himself. Marchand, you know, lives for the big moments, but he's definitely lost a step. He's not the same player. They just don't have anywhere close to the firepower. Their best path to victory here is to just muck things up as much as they can, basically get this to be played in like a swamp. It has to be ugly, grinded out, just disgusting, gross, unwatchable hockey. Hope Swayman can come up with the saves and you can get a couple breaks and whatever. But at the end of the day, like, the Bruins barely skated by a Leafs team that is significantly worse than Florida and also was dealing with injuries to some of their top players, and they barely skated by them. Leafs power play was abysmal. Florida's very much the opposite. They have very good special teams. The Bruins relied on their power play, which isn't even that good. It was just a product of the Leafs having a pretty bad penalty kill. So I don't know. There's not a lot of hope that I have for Boston. Maybe somebody can map out a clearer sort of path to see how they can win this, other than Swayman just being otherworldly and completely standing on his head and stealing 4 games, because I just can't see how they match up here. And they're just a worse team top to bottom. First line, second line, third line, fourth line, all 3 pairings on the back end. It's just, I don't know how they make the series competitive. I can see this being over in 5, definitely in 6. I laid the -1.5 with the Panthers as well. So I don't know. Maybe I'm too bullish on them and too sour on the Bruins, but I don't see it whatsoever.
So, Money, is there any path that you can find for the Bruins to get there? Moretto pretty much shut that one down in his kind of breakdown of how this series might play out based on what we've seen out of these two teams.
Yeah, I think Moreto's right. But there's always a path, right? It's the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how the script has changed, how the script has essentially flipped from last year, because these were the same things that we were saying about Boston against Florida last year. I think that the point about Bennett is a good point. If there is a weakness on Florida, it's going to be their fourth line, and now you're moving a important piece of their third line up into their second line as well. So now you're essentially really weakening a bottom 6, right? So I see that point. However, you would take advantage. A team would be able to take advantage of that if they had the depth to match, right? And I don't think that Boston has the depth across all their forward lines to be able to match that, even with Bennett out. So I think that's if I'm nitpicking with something to be concerned about with Florida, that would be it. The other thing too is Bobrovsky. We mentioned this every series, and we have been for a while. In every series Bobrovsky has played in, he does have the ability to turn into a pumpkin. He hasn't for the most part, but it could happen. So Boston continues to hold the goaltending edge. Defensively, I don't know. I think they're pretty even defensively, slight edge to Florida maybe, but Boston has the ability to really clamp down, even though they've gone through big stretches of this season where they haven't been able to. Offensively, there's no question there. Florida is much better offensively. So I agree with Alex. The path to Boston's victory would be to make this a very ugly series, kind of Nashville-esque, if we can bring it back to my Canucks. Yeah, that's the way that I see this series going on. It could. It is the playoffs. We talked about this last year where shit can get weird, and that's it could happen here, but that's the only way that I have for a Boston win.
Yeah, and I think
As for, I was just gonna say, sorry, go ahead, Moretto.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna just respond to Jordan in the chat there, where I
Yeah,
completely
that's what I was
agree
gonna
that sorry, I completely agree that I think that Bob off a layoff, and just not even just Bobrovsky, but teams in general coming off a bit of a longer layoff can tend to struggle a little bit. I have no interest in betting the Panthers in game one tonight at these prices, especially with Bennett confirmed out for game one. He's day-to-day right now, so I don't know his status for the series, but he's out for game one. Boston coming off that game 7 win, like, you're on a bit of a high. You just played a couple days ago. Your focus is still there. That intensity is still there. You can see Boston for sure picking up that game 1 win. I'm not on Boston tonight, but I do see definitely a path, and it would be Boston or nothing for me at this number. But I think that you can kind of just sit back and hope maybe here that Boston wins as a neutral, and then you have chances to hop on the Panthers at a better series price. Because I know it's obviously baked in the fact that they lost in game 1, they gave up home ice and everything, but like, I don't care, because like, I still like this team in the series regardless of tonight. It's almost in spite of tonight, where they're going to be coming off that layoff, and they're going to be missing Bennett. So yeah, I think there's a chance where if you didn't get those early numbers and you aren't involved yet, to just sort of sit back, hope for that Boston win, and then get on Florida at some decent numbers tomorrow morning.
All right, let's look at some best bets here. As for the series prices, obviously we've kind of discussed that this one feels like it's in the right spot right now. Not really seeing anything on either side that you jump in on. Excuse me, Moretto, you said you went Panthers -1.5. I see there on Pinnacle right now, currently sitting at +105. Are there any other best bets that you have for this series, or any other markets that you're looking to for ways to play this one that are still available for people right now?
So I haven't quite dove into the specialty markets, and I think that again, my if I'm not involved yet, my strategy would be to sit back and hope Boston can get an early lead in the series and get back on Florida. But what I do like is I think you're going to get good prices on the Panthers in their road games. Game 3 and game 4, I'm definitely think, unless the Panthers are up 2-0 in this series, I think even if they are, it's obviously number dependent, but then, you kind of look at series effects and Bruins going home down 2-0. But I think I'm really going to like backing this Florida team on the road in Boston against a Boston team that is kind of a little bit better on the road as well, and kind of simplifies things a little bit. I think that's kind of where I'll look to attack this a little bit, sort of betting this game to game. And again, no like full series bets right now, other than, all the numbers are gone that I bet into. So I'll just wait and hope that Boston can win game 1 tonight, and that we can get a good number on Florida tomorrow.
Are there any bets that you've placed right now, so money or anything people might be able to go out there and still get right now?
Yeah, I going back to the top goal scorer market here. I agree with Charles in the chat. Tkachuk top goal scorer 6-1. It makes sense logically. If this is a short series, then as the series goes on, you're not going to be rushing Bennett back, right? And Tkachuk is going to continue to play on that top line. This is the kind of series that it's kind of made for him, right? If it does get into ugly hockey, I think that Tkachuk is the type of player, obviously, that's going to be able to step up here and kind of break through with his goals. So him playing on the top line, maybe it's just a game that Bennett is out, but he's going to be day-to-day afterwards. And regardless, even if Tkachuk is back on the second line, I think that this is the kind of series where he can excel. So I did bet Tkachuk 6-1 this morning, and I do agree with Charles on that on that look there in the chat.
There you go. Best bet for this series. And final thing we'll get to here to kind of wrap up the series previews based on how we've done these as well. Who's winning and how many games? Moretto, we'll start with you here. Who's the victor in games?
I'll be a bit more generous to the Bruins than it sounded like I would have been, but I'll say Panthers in 6, just because I do think there is a path to them winning here in game 1, and then maybe Swayman stealing one again down the line. So I will say Panthers in 6.
So money?
We talked about the Panthers last series about having the killer in them. You can see it.
Yeah.
I think Boston will win their final game of the season tonight, and then it'll be Florida in 5.
Yeah, I'm going Florida in 5 as well. So, Bruins for everything if you're in the chat watching. Florida in 5 for me. Last thing we'll take a look at here is the game for tonight and where this number is currently sitting at. If you are watching in the in the chat or live and you haven't already, please hit that like button. Less than 50% of the people watching right now have liked the stream here so far, so smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We'll continue to do more breakdowns, best bets, picks, predictions, all that stuff as we continue on. As well, Jordan pointing out some other shops that you can head to find some of the series leader prices as well. So make sure to shop around. But looking at tonight's game, we currently see this one minus 153 for Florida, the Bruins plus 146, and a total of 5.5 right across the board. So, Money, thoughts on where this one's currently sitting at side and total?
So I did bet Boston. It's not it's not a full play because of my respect for Florida. So I did play, I guess we can call it a half unit, on the Bruins. I do have them down to plus 141. Oh, they're plus 146 is fine. Yeah. So I did play Boston. We can call it for a half unit here.
Okay. So Bruins half unit here tonight, plus 146. I mean, we've kind of broke down the series and how these two teams will match up plenty here, so it's not too much else to dig into. But Moretto, just any final thoughts on where this one's currently sitting at just ahead of game one?
No, yeah, I agree. I didn't bet Boston, but I do think it's Boston or nothing, so I agree with that for sure. I can't trust them to score. I just can't trust them to get the goals that they need to. And, maybe Bob does have a stinker with coming off the layoff, and, there's obviously a path to that and everything. Just do not trust them enough offensively to break through and get those kind of goals they need. I mean, you look at them in that Leaf series, like after, we got through kind of game 4, like goals were so hard to come by for them. They didn't generate a bunch of offense. They relied on a power play that isn't even that good. Penalty kill for the Panthers is much better. So yeah, it's Bruins or nothing, but I mean, I think the path to the Bruins winning here tonight, if you like the Bruins, I think that kind of correlates heavily towards an under as well. So, but yeah, I didn't get on anything myself.
All right, there you go. That'll do it for today's show. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. We appreciate all the support that you guys continue to give. Just to, again, recap here for people wondering, or if people coming in late where we're at, we went through all of the series that wrapped up over this weekend, touched on the series here today that's going to kick off between the Bruins and the Panthers, breaking down the matchups, the series price, best bets in this one as well. And we also gave out one best bet for tonight's game. It is worth a half unit, but we're going to go Bruins money line plus 146 here. You can find that in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. So make sure to head on over there. For those of you who signed up for the draft party, or if you're looking for the NHL trivia, daily NHL trivia, that kicks off today. So check your inboxes. You should have received an email from draftparty.net to be able to start that. Make sure to head on over there. I'll be filling mine out after the show here today so that we can go head to head. You can also get bragging rights over your friends if that's something you're interested in. So make sure to head over to draftparty.net and check your inboxes, because today is the first day, May 6th. So kicking off today. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Moretto, appreciate you coming on here today to kick off the week and just absolutely dunk on the Leafs, on this Monday morning. So, Money, great to see you as always. We'll see you again throughout the rest of the week a couple more times. To everyone in the chat, we appreciate all the support. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for more picks and previews. Enjoy tonight's game, and good luck on your bets.